Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I will be talking about my books that I read in April and in May. I can't lie, I didn't read that much in both months together. So I did have in April, I'm going to go my notes and say what books I actually had on my TBR first for April. So I had Time as a Killer, Red Queen, Throne of Glass, Six of Crows and Reckless. So Time as a Killer, I did end up DNFing the book. I still do have the book. I don't know if I'm going to end up reading it at some point, but I just it wasn't the right time of year for me personally, and I honestly feel like I'm going to probably get rid of the book properly, but I just feel like I can read it and I want to give it like one last chance, so that will be happening. I don't know when, but hopefully at some point this year I'll actually read it, but if not, it will be getting like fully donated because I've had it for like, I think I bought it in 2022, which is such a long time ago at this point. Red Queen, I just didn't actually get around to it. It was one of the last books on my TBR for the end of the month. I don't know what happened. April was like a really bad reading month and I just generally did not read much. But Red Queen, I do really want to read it, and I think I will try and read it at some point this year, maybe late in the year, I don't know. Actually no, I think I know why I didn't read it, and I'll get to that in a second. Next book is Six of Crows. The reason why I didn't read this book was because I want to read Shadow of a Bone series, and I think you have to read that prior to reading Six of Crows. Oh, that's what I've seen online anyway. I'm not entirely sure, but I didn't read that either. Throne of Glass, I just didn't get around to it. I don't know what happened really, but honestly, I just couldn't read it, and I don't know what happened. Anyway, so the one actual book that I read that's on my actual TBR was Reckless, which I rated a 4-star. I did really enjoy the book, and it got to the point, I think the reason why I wasn't reading any other books was because I read this book, and obviously the next book in the series came out, but then I kind of got myself into a little book slump because I wanted the next book in the series, but now I couldn't read it because I had to read this. It was a bit all over the place, and I think I did at some point try and read another book too, but I don't know what happened with that. I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I really did enjoy this book. I feel like I enjoyed it way more than what most people did. However, it was just a 4-star for me. It was a great book. I think it was more just, it's kind of like a filler book though. It wasn't really like adding much. It was more to add to the next book, which is okay. It's okay. I think I did enjoy it way more than other people because I read it so close to the next release that like I was already in the world, and it made it so much easier to get into, whereas with other people they read it like a year ago, and because it was just a filler book, it didn't really add to anything, and it just made it not great for some people. But yeah, I did really enjoy the book. So the next book leading on to that I read was Fearless. I read this so quick, genuinely. Well, it took me like a few days because I think I was working and stuff, but like the times I did read it, I read it so quick. It was such a good book for me. Yeah, I did actually rate this a 5-star, which I think I'd rated most of the books in the series a 5-star, or like 4 to 5 stars. I can't actually remember. I know I did enjoy Powerless, but it got spoilt for me, which lowered the rating, but then I think I actually ended up updating the rating because that was not the actual book's fault, it was someone else's fault. I really enjoyed the 2 books that I read in April. They were genuinely really good books, and I think I liked them so much because it was as part of a series that I've already read and loved and enjoyed. But yeah, I'm kind of sad that I now don't have any more books in this series to read because I was really enjoying myself. But the reason why I didn't read Red Queen, is because it's very similar, and I think both the authors, like, I think this author kind of got inspo from that book, so I didn't read the book so soon after because I feel like it would have just ruined it and it would have made the book not as good, and I want to give it a fair chance, so I will be reading it. I definitely will be reading it, but just later in the year. The next book I actually finished in May, but before we get on to that book, I did start it in April, but before we get on to that book, I'm going to tell you what 5 books I had for May. So the first book I had was 13, and then Caraval, Harry Potter, The Chamber of Secrets, and then The Hunger Games and Butcher and Blackbird. So we're going to go through the ones that I read. I did actually read a couple of these ones, but the first book is not actually on the TBR. I started this in April because it was my birthday in April and I got this book and I really wanted to read it. It was The Baby Dragon Cafe. The main reason I kind of read this was because I was in such a book slump that like most of the books that I had in my April TBR were very high. Like I had to put a lot of brain power into the books and I just couldn't. So I thought I'd just put little romance book, make it a little cute, not really got any brain power going towards it, and that, yeah, I did really enjoy this book. I feel like I might have potentially enjoyed it more if it wasn't for the fact I was in a book slump, but I think it was still a great book. In fact, rate it 4-star. I feel like I do rate most of my romance books about 4 stars, because most of the ones I've got are more just like cute little romance that I just kind of like read on the side when I'm on a bit of a book slump sort of thing. So a lot of times I do end up giving it a 4-star. Next book that I read was 13 by Steve Kafanog. I think that's his certain name, I'm not too sure. I really enjoyed this book, honestly. I think this actually got me out of the book slump. But it was such a good book. There was so much twists and stuff. You had 2 different paths. So on here it says the serial killer isn't on trial, he's on the jury. So you had the jury person who was the serial killer, and then you also had the path of, so he kind of kept changing it. It's like in the law sort of thing. I think he was originally second chairman, I think that's what it's called, but then the main person who was the guy's lawyer dropped him, so then he kind of took over that instead. So he was technically the lawyer there. I'm not sure if that's the right terminology. I'm not sure. I don't really know about laws that great and courtrooms and stuff. But you had both of their paths, and it was so interesting in like piecing things together, and then also like just getting random like murders and stuff in the middle of it all, and all that different fun stuff. It was definitely so interesting. I do highly recommend this book. It is technically about the 4th book in a series, but the series you can read as standalones. But I think the only thing that's different about the books is the main character. I think he's called Eddie Flynn. I think that's his name is Eddie Flynn. I think his character like develops over the books. From what I've heard online, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I have just read the 4th book in it, and it did not mention anything about other cases or anything like that, so you can definitely read books out of order. But yeah, I do recommend that one really well. Anyway, next book. Why has it still got the bookmark in? I do not know. I did actually finish this book. I don't know why it's got the bookmark in the middle of it, but this is Harry Potter The Chamber of Secrets. This was more like I started at the start of the month, but I was just reading before bed sort of read, because I still wasn't like, when I go to bed I don't want to read like massive books that are like too much going on. I want to just read something quick and easy, so I usually just read like romances or Harry Potter or something like that. So I read this while I was just before bed, pretty much every night. I do really enjoy it. I haven't read any of the Harry Potter books before, apart from this one and the first one now. So this is my first time like reading them, and yeah, I kind of actually happy that I didn't read it as a kid. Like I do, like obviously I didn't get the nostalgia and stuff from it like as some people do, but I feel like as a kid I wouldn't have like appreciated it as much, because it just wasn't my kind of thing. I didn't really like any fantasy and stuff like that, so I feel like I have picked it up definitely at a great time. So I can't wait to get into the rest of the series. So that is the books that I have read. However, I have got one book that was on my TBR this month that I have still been reading. I'm about halfway into the book, which is Butcher and Blackbird. I am really enjoying it. I feel like I'm going to probably rate it a 4 to 5 star. Oh my god, I just realised I didn't actually tell you guys some of the ratings. 13, I rated a 4 star. Harry Potter, I didn't actually rate, but I'll probably rate about 4 as well. That is all the books that I read this month, or the last 2 months, which isn't many. I did only read 5, but technically 6 if you include that one as well. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you did, just give it a thumbs up, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week for a brand new video. Bye guys.